Hi, it's Mitch from SportsChatPlace.com here with Ron Romanelli going over Week 1's Friday night college football slate. Ron has a few games selected out that he wants to go over here. Of course, it's SportsChatPlace.com. Free picks in every game, every single day on the site in writing. And then also, of course, we do these videos and we'll be doing more of these in the future. We have a whole slate of videos of other contributors as well that's going to be happening. And then, of course, for our best bets, just click on the Premium Picks tab over at Sports Chat Place. But Ron, Thursday night in the books, we head into Friday. 4 big boy games on the schedule. A couple other of the, we call them the cupcake games, as well on the schedule. But, I know that you sent over a few games that you want to go over, and we're not going to waste a lot of time here. Let's just get right into it. We're seeing conference battles in Week 1, which is something that it's not traditional. But we're seeing them this year, and I like it. I'd way rather see UNC Virginia Tech than a cupcake game. I know that for a conference game, it's very meaningful for a first game of the season. But so be it. Someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, unless they cancel the game like the Rutgers Temple game, and then we'll find out Saturday. But in this case, we got UNC versus Virginia Tech. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great game to have on a Friday night ACC battle. This North Carolina team, they're ranked 10th heading into the season, and they do return a lot of the team that scored 40-plus points per game last season. That includes quarterback Sam Howell. Virginia Tech lost a lot of pieces on offense, especially in that quarterback position. Hendon Hooker, he transferred out of Virginia Tech, and they do return Braxton Burmeister, but I'm not sure if he's the guy. I have to see a little bit more of him at quarterback at the starting role. But in this one, it's never easy to play at Lane Stadium. But I think in this first game, you got two teams that are going to battle out the rust. I just trust North Carolina's experience, and especially that offense. I think it's just too much for Virginia Tech to handle here. If this game was like later on in the year, perhaps in the middle of the season, I may lean towards Virginia Tech at home. But even on the road, I think North Carolina has enough firepower to get a touchdown or more victory here.
Yeah, I like the way North Carolina has brought back their entire offensive line, and I think, to me, that's the most important position in football, the offensive line and the defensive line, unless, you're Auburn, who's just stacked at linebacker this year. But I think that, those two positions certainly dictate the game. You can control a game with a good offensive line and defensive line, and we saw Carolina do it last year with a good offensive line. I'm going to imagine they're only going to be better this year. So certainly something to watch out for. Of course, like you said, Lane Stadium, a tough building. James Hetfield just bought a house fairly close to mine, so we don't want to say too many things because Aries might have a little bit of a temper. But I just think that, so we'll hear the Enter Sandman, and we'll be fans of that when it comes out. But I think Carolina just, that offensive line coming back is tough for me to look past here. For the other game, another game that you wanted to look at for this one was the Duke versus Charlotte game. Of course, David Cutcliffe, an absolute magician with quarterbacks. He's the guy that got Daniel Jones the 6th overall pick. You can do that. Well, I don't know. It's maybe you can get Ruffalo that job as the underwear model as well. But it's I think it's about the equivalent there. So, Ron, now I got the visual going. But what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I'll try not to think about that too much. But as far as this Duke-Charlotte game, this is a game I was a little surprised to see that Duke was only a 6.5-point favorite. I would have figured they'd be probably a double-digit favorite, especially after last year's game. But I dug deeper, and I actually like Charlotte in the points here at home. Charlotte has two good options at quarterback with Chris Reynolds and James Foster, who they got in from Texas A&M as a transfer. Neither of these teams are very good on defense. We saw that last season, but Duke could quite honestly have the weakest quarterback-wide receiver tandem in the ACC heading into the season, at least on paper. I think, Charlotte has a lot to prove in this one. This is a revenge game after they got beaten up last season by Duke. And this is the first time Charlotte has hosted an ACC school in its stadium in school history. So a big moment in week 1 of the season. I think it's going to be a long year for Duke. And I think Charlotte has a lot to prove. I'll take the points with Charlotte. Wouldn't be surprised to see an upset this early in the season.
When the smaller conference teams get a crack at the big conference teams, and you get a crack at one, and it's Duke or Vandy or someone like that, you got to make the most of it, because these are the games where you put yourself on the map. And later on down the road, it's not always just about your strength of schedule when they're talking bowls and all these other sorts of things. It's your opponent's strength of schedule. So even if Charlotte's schedule doesn't turn out to be that tough, well, Duke's going to probably play some pretty heavy hitters there in the ACC and out of conference too. So you got to figure, it's a big game for Charlotte. It's a real big game. Plus, it's with only 4 games on the card, they do kind of get that stage to themselves that they don't get too often. So it's a huge game. It's a huge game for recruiting for them, because it will be on TV. Something once again, a lot of games are on TV now, but this one is kind of a little different because you get a little bit more notoriety. Of course, if it was on next Thursday, well, probably no one would watch it, but it's the way that it is. I would be watching it though. Anyways, we got to the final game here, and it's Northwestern and Michigan State. And, Northwestern defending. They went to the Big Ten championship game last year, had the lead late on Ohio State, let it get away from them. I think there was no shame in that. They went to a bowl game, and I believe they won there. So, pretty tough customers. Pat Fitzgerald, one of the better coaches. Did they win their bowl game?
I'm not too sure. Let me look at it.
But Pat Fitzgerald, one of the better coaches out there. He's a do more with less type guy, and Northwestern usually not going to beat themselves.
Yeah, and you are right that Northwestern did beat Auburn in the Citrus Bowl. They beat him by 16. So
Gus Malzahn fired after the game.
Yeah. Yep. This is a Northwestern team. I really like Pat Fitzgerald. I think he's one of the better coaches in college football right now. But I think this is a tall task, at least in week 1. You've got 4 returning starters on offense and 4 returning starters on defense for Northwestern. That ranks dead last in the Big Ten and 129th in college football FBS. You got a lot to replace, and you're playing a conference opponent, like Mitch mentioned. These conference games, they mean a lot, even in week 1. Michigan State, I think this is going to be a long season for them overall, but I do think they improved at the quarterback position. They brought in Temple transfer Anthony Russo. They're not actually too sure who's going to start in this one at QB, but I just think Michigan State has enough talent offensively to at least sneak into this one and grab a cover, but I do think they win it outright. I would shop your lines. I've seen it at 3 and 3.5 in certain spots. If you're on Michigan State, I'd take the 3.5, and I think at worst this is a field goal game in favor of Northwestern. So I'll lean towards Michigan State in the points, but I do think they have a shot to earn the upset on the road.
Yeah, Mel Tucker, not really the first choice there at Michigan State. They didn't have a great year last year. They even got beat by Michigan, which is rare for them. And, the thing is that, Russo comes over from Temple. Temple's terrible last year. I mean, they were absolute dumpster fire. You could blame it on COVID stoppages and delayed games and all you want, but, you still got to get on the field and play the games, and Temple wouldn't even do that. So, less than confident with Michigan State's effort. For me, I just think Northwestern is just a better program right now. But we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us, and it should be a great night of college football. Of course, Ron and I will be back tomorrow. We're going to go over the slate of games. It's probably going to be a long video, so you might want to make some popcorn and maybe pack a lunch. But we're going to do our best, and we're not going to go over every game on the video. We're just going to pick and choose our spots, and of course we're enjoying doing these videos, bringing some content back to the Sports Chat Place YouTube channel. We'll be having plenty of new content, different content creators talking about different things, and we'll get this channel fired up again. So be sure to subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers. Don't tell your boss, because they'll block the site. Have a great day.